Happy Wednesday. Captain Coder here. We are back and working on Space Raiders, a little shoot 'em up, top-down shoot 'em up space game here. So putting this together for my students. Christoph, so nice to see you again. Welcome back. Welcome back. Get the chat over here for everyone to see. I should get one of those fancy chat overlays or something. I gotta look into how to do that. I haven't looked into that. I've seen them, but I don't know how to do it. I'm sure it's not too hard. But yeah, we are back. We're continuing. It works. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah, we're gonna keep going here. Pick up where we left off yesterday. I haven't done anything since yesterday on this project. But just to recap, we have a ship that flies around. It's sort of limited to the space it can fly. Oh, let's see here. You get this guy to load up here. Did Unity crash? Maybe I shouldn't have left it on overnight. There it goes. So we got our ship here. We got sort of a max. I don't know if setting a max up and down feels weird. It like feels like I get stuck. So I might want to make it so I can move around the whole screen, but that wouldn't be too hard to change because our ship has a min and max value that we can update. Yeah, we have an asteroid spawner that spawns asteroids for us. And it's working pretty well. One thing that I realized, I guess I didn't leave it on. It is a desktop. I am on a desktop. I usually put it to sleep, right? So leaving things open when I put it to sleep sometimes results in strange issues. I rarely have to restart these days, which is nice. Just when updates come through. So I have it set up to restart on updates. That's essentially it. And every night, if I install some software, sometimes I have to. But yeah, for the most part, I leave it on overnight. I found out I can do this. And I at one point I knew this. So I was complaining about making fields public. So if I make them private but add this serialized field to it, it is happy, supposedly. I have a laptop too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, this is driving me nuts. I like having this mini map here. But every time I switch, I click it and my code jumps down on me. All right, so I got my asteroid spawner. Yeah, so I can actually make these private and then have serialized field to get them to show up. So I can actually make these things private. What if I do that? Does that make both of them? I'm curious here if that will attach to both of them. It will. It will. All right. I love the minimap compared to the scroll bar so much. It's so much better. But like switching between the two is I couldn't figure out what was going on. I would click over and my thing would drop down. I realized it's because I'm clicking on this thing. And I like my scroll over here, so I could move the mini map to a different to the left side, but that feels awkward to me. All right. Anyway, I was gonna change all my fields to private for good practice. Really, I want them to be getters and setters. I don't know if it's actually good practice. Now it's yelling at me saying, "Hey, these should be read only because they're private." Which is so fascinating to me. Hang on, if I make them read only, here's a thought. If I make them read only, can I still edit them? Well, that one can't be read only. This is interesting. Private, read only, load. That one can't be read only. That's what I just said. But if I make this, can I still edit it in the editor? This is... I can't. It disappears there. So it's sort of this damned if you do, damned if you don't thing that will just make me forever mad. Here, I'll have just forever madness because I can't set these without doing extra effort. So ideally, I would want to make it some sort of, yeah. What's the? Can I just have it ignore? All right, I'm gonna go back. All right, I was gonna change these to private. I'm gonna go back to public here and just be grumpy about it. I don't know what I should do. I don't know what I should really do. right, but we're gonna focus. We're gonna see if we can get some stuff done here today, rather than me fiddling with quote unquote best practices. My best practice would be to change this to a get set, and then it was saying I could do fields. This. What if I make it private set? I'm curious here. All right, I can do that if I do private set. Okay, this is, it feels better. This feels better here. So we have a public getter, private setter. I'm okay with this. This feels much better to me. Yeah. But how do I explain it to my students? That's the tricky part. So the question is, should I maintain this good practice here or not? No, I don't know. I'm gonna go back to everything just being public for now. I'm gonna get it working, and then I'll think about what practices I want to do, because am I teaching those things or not? All right, we haven't actually accomplished anything. We wrote code and then undid writing code over and over. Okay, all right. Now we want to make it. All right, so what I want to do is I want to make it so I can shoot the asteroids. Actually, I want to make it so that if lots of asteroids are coming down here, asteroid spawner. I actually didn't like my X speed being here. My spawn point, I wanted it to spawn along here. All right, so we're gonna have two spawn points, a min spawn point. We're gonna put that over here. We're gonna duplicate that and call this max spawn point. And we'll put that over here. And then we're gonna make it so our asteroids will spawn between one of those 2 points. And we'll rename this min spawn point and max spawn point. And we got min, we've got max, and then the actual spawn. We're gonna create a vector, vector2 spawn point is equal to a new vector where the x is random.range min spawn point dot x max spawn point dot x comma min spawn point dot y. What is that? Dot position. Okay. And the cool thing here is I can do this. So I have these spawn points. I can create a nice little getter here. Public vector2 min spawn point. Min spawn vector is min spawn point dot position. So this is a fun little helper where I can do swap these out. Max spawn vector. Okay, and so we got a spawn point. AC.transform spawn point. All right, so now we'll have them randomly appearing between those two spawn points. And I don't like the X speed, I think, being positive. We're gonna keep that at 0. See how we feel about those. Oh boy. What changed? Spawn rate, change that to 2. We messed with that variable, so it reset to 0. So we want to, nice. Not so nice. Why isn't it generating randomly? Min spawn, max spawn, min spawn. Between those two. There it is. So we should hopefully have asteroids randomly spawning between those 2 points. Beautiful. And they have sort of random speeds attached to them. Although it doesn't seem let's go at -1. Yeah, we want -1 to -3. So in here, we'll have some default values. So default spawn rate will be 2. Last spawn rate will be, starts at 0. Doesn't matter that much. Min rotation, -90. Positive 90. Min speed, max speed. I don't know that this needs to be a vector anymore because I'm gonna make them all go straight down. But I'll leave it alone for now. These are just helpers. Asteroid controller template. All right. So my thought here is, can I turn an asteroid into a prefab and then attach it to my spawner? That's sort of what I want to do. Dota, hey. Happy Wednesday, my friend. We are working on a little space shooter. Nice. How much longer do you got? You got how many days before you get to go on vacation? Half day? Nice. Create folder prefabs. Good for you. Yeah, we finished up on Friday. So I'm curious, my asteroid spawn. Now that I have a, can I make, so the idea is here, I have a prefab. Let's lock this for a second. I want to say, can I make my template a prefab? I think I can if I delete that. Yeah, so these don't have to start out on the screen. I have prefabs for my asteroid big, my asteroid baby. Then I have this prefab here. That's awesome. Good. I'm have to bite your tongue. Okay. Absolutely. My family loves to try and hire me, or used to. It's been better now. All right, cool. So we got this little spaceship thing going on. With our prefabs, we got our asteroid spawn, we got our min spawn, our max spawn. So what I need to do now is I wanted to make it so if I shoot an asteroid, it sort of breaks into a small asteroid. So we have a big asteroid. It's going to shoot and turn into a small one. Well, and then so the one of the challenges here is with hiring a person to do it who's going to maintain it. So maintenance is a harder part. If you could, I'm actually all for hiring someone to design a website for you, but to maintain it, no one wants to maintain it. In fact, I've paid people to design websites for me before, but then I maintain it, kind of. I don't know if that's true. Design is hard. I suck at the design part too, for sure. Asteroid controller. So with our asteroid, we need to add in a oh well, we got to add in a laser first. All right, so we're gonna make it so we can shoot. Our player is gonna shoot lasers. Yeah. Pay someone for the UX work. That's the hard, in my opinion. That's like maybe the hardest part about web development. All right, let's get our laser graphic in here. Do I have a laser, red laser? Let's go and ask that. Laser. Okay, get a laser. I'm gonna change my background to oh, I can unlock this now. To black. Yeah, now it's space. Okay. All this. Laser red, or red laser. All right, so red laser is just gonna fly up the screen. Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever had clients? Ooh, when we shoot lasers, should we shoot? All right, when we shoot lasers, should we shoot them like this or from the front? Ooh, I'm gonna start with one from the front, and then you get a power up where you shoot them from the sides like that. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna start with laser, just shooting one from the front. One from the front. All right, so we got laser. No. So laser sensor, laser, and we're gonna add in a new script. Laser controller. I don't know why I call everything controllers. I think it's a very what is this Unity thing to do? Everything's a controller. All right, so our laser is gonna have a speed as well. Public. Yeah, so it's the thing that's like controlling it, I suppose, but it feels like in essence I'm like, well, I should probably just call it laser. Public int public vector to speed. All right, so we have a speed on this, and something we're starting to recognize, right, is, man, everything has a speed attached to it, and then a move that basically causes it to move. So there's this repeated code. So it's almost like I want to add in a thing called a movable thing that can just sort of be in there. But we're not going to do that just yet. We're going to have my students add all of these things, and then we'll refactor it. Oh, cool. I haven't heard of that. Rebecca Wilcliffe? Look that up. Design challenges. Gotcha. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. Yeah. Send me a link. Send me a link. I'd love to check it out. Yeah. So, where were we? All right. So we got this speed, and so we're gonna have a private void move laser, and we are going. Essentially, we're stealing this code, and we have this a little bit of a, in my mind, a little bit of a thing, because I want to abstract this away, right? I want to say, oh well, I should have a thing just called a movable, and it has a move method on it. Gotcha. Object design, roles, responsibilities, and collaboration. What is this book from? 2002? That's not maybe that is crazy old. And I say that doesn't feel crazy old. 2000. I think of old programming books I have from like 1986, 1980. And then we'll do move laser. And then very easily we add in a speed here. This one's going up, so the speed of the laser, I'm gonna put it as 2, I think. Is 2 gonna be too slow? Oh, that's way too slow. 5. There it is. That's what we want. 5. So one little thing that one of the things for this project that I'm not doing is I'm not using Unity's sort of physics engine, which might be a mistake, but that means that technically if my laser's moving super fast, it'll go through things. So we just gotta make sure it's not too fast, or do like a little bit of ray tracing with it, but I'm not gonna have my students look at that yet. Can't back test-driven development. I think I have this book, or have read this book in undergrad. Yeah. Test-driven development, nice. I have mixed feelings about test-driven development. Mr. Natural, happy Wednesday. Welcome aboard. We're taking a look here. Putting in a laser. Oh yeah, I wanted to add in some a collision. Box collider 2D. All right. So our laser, when it hits something, it needs to be able to destroy it. All right. And so we're gonna add a collider also. I can't remember if it needs to be a trigger or not. But let's add in an asteroid here. Now that I got my prefabs, I can add in, oh, not a baby asteroid. Let's go with the big asteroid. And we'll set its speed to 0, so that way we don't have a moving target. And then in our prefab, we want to add in a collider 2D, and we're gonna go with a polygon collider. Yeah, polygons for the win here. And since it's a prefab, this should affect all of them, so this guy should now have one. And we want to check for collision. And I'm trying to remember exactly how to do it. I'm wondering if my Martin Fowler's refactoring, that is the best. That is a must-read book. Everyone needs to read it. Period. If you write software, Martin Fowler's refactoring book is that book changed the way I program. So good, so good. That one. What was it? There's a book in that's specifically for Java that was like one of the best books I ever read too. Oh, I can't remember what it is. It's called like Exceptional Java or something like that. Exceptional Java. No, I can't remember what it's all. Book. Can we find it here? I don't know if it's Effective Java. Effective Java. There's another one I have called Exceptional C++, which is all about handling errors and stuff. This book really. So I was, this was as an undergrad. I was doing a lot of Java because that's what our undergrad did. This book really helped me. This book it's specific to Java, but it is just a book that was about good programming practices. And also like the design pattern books are good too. And then the Corman algorithms book. Collision. Minor. POSA? I'm not sure. Not sure on that one. Oh yeah, the design patterns book. It's called like the design pattern for guys. Design patterns, elements of reusable object-oriented software. This book, Gamma. Okay, we need to Unity on Collision 2D. So there's a little thing here that I think these have to be rigid bodies for this to even work. But I'm not 100. I can't 100% remember for sure. So we're gonna see here real quick. I think if it's a trigger, it might not need to be. If it's, yeah, I think if here. Right now I have these colliders. They're not rigid bodies, so they'll not get stuck on each other. If I make it a trigger, specifically this guy, let's make them both triggers real quick and we'll write some code in here. Public void on. Yeah, I wish the autocomplete here worked properly. On collision 2D. Call when the cube hits the floor. Because it's not on collision 2D trigger. There's a different one for the triggers. On trigger, that's what it is. Like this. So the thing that, let's see, are there extensions? Let's look for Unity. All snippets you need for Unity 3D. I think this is what I want. Yeah. Mono behavior functions with documentation. This one that has 5 stars, only 16. We're gonna give it a shot. On trigger. There it is. Okay, so I need to remember, make a little mental note here. To do that here. I need a little notebook. Let me make a little document here real quick. New folder. Space Raider notes. All right, Space Raider notes. VS Code install plugin. Add this in there. Sweet. The reason we read the only really had a law class where we read the Constitution with the idea that the law is based on that document. I thought software, a lot of topics are similar. Read the classics so you understand the first works. There is a lot of truth in that, right? So the books that continue to be good are probably really worth reading. Okay, so now I can do on trigger enter 2 on trigger enter 2D. Okay, so specifically I think I care about the Asteroid doing it. And so now we want to check that the other is the laser. So we're gonna say other. Do we have that same set? If other is laser controller. Is that syntax we can use yet? Other dot game object. Interesting. All right, so I can do that. Interesting. Other dot game object dot component, get component. Here we go. Get component laser controller. So we have to say get component, and it'll be null as laser. Returns a component of the type if the object hasn't one attached. So it's going to be null if it's not found. Mythical Man Month is a good one. Everyone should. If you, I don't know that everyone needs to understand the Mythical Man Month, but it's really important for you to be able to explain to a boss or someone's asking and say, hey, we need to get this done in 2 months or 1 month or whatever it is, that hey, hiring more people is going to slow us down. That is a mind bender for some people. If as laser, well, that's real quick. Unity dot debug, what is it? Debug.log. This dot on trigger enter 2D other. Yeah, well, I mean, so here's the one thing though. It's like, how much can you parallelize and how much run up time? So it's not necessarily intuitive to someone who is like a foreman doing construction. That you can typically just hire more people when you do that. That did not. Do I have to have a rigid body? Unity on trigger entered 2D without rigid body. Do I need a rigid body? Is it possible to do without when using these? I think bolting at least one game object to have rigid body for collision pressing. It doesn't have to be non-chromatic. All right. So you do need a rigid body. So there's a ton of soft skills in programming, in software development. There's soft skills that are hard to teach. How do you do it? So you sort of need like some special topics class. I remember we had a special topics class in my undergrad that I think we had to take once, maybe twice, and it was just talking about various random things. So it was like your book club a little bit, but more of a every week was a new topic you talked about, then you had to write up a little white paper, do a little bit of writing about it. I think this one, rigid body 2D. See, now it's gonna fall. Rigid body gives it weight. Is it static is what I want? I just want it to be able to... Well... let's put this over here too. Let's give them both. Kinematic. Okay. So now what's interesting, my laser they should both be triggers. I'm surprised only one of them's going off here. If I comment this one out, when you say architecture, do you mean just like system architecture, design architecture, like design architecting, you know, big problems? Gotcha. I don't understand. But really, if I were to take off the trigger, this one should be a trigger. If I were to take the trigger off this one, guess I could read the documentation a little bit more to understand triggers. All right, let's make this one a trigger. This one not a trigger. I'm really confused. genuinely confused by... So right now, neither of them should do it. Yeah, and if I make this one a trigger, the laser does it. But if the laser is a trigger, oh, it still gets that. What? Asteroid controller. Oh, that's fine. This always trips me up when I come back to Unity. I haven't programmed in Unity for about a year. And so the way the colliders work always trips me up. So sent when another object enters a trigger collider attached to this object. Sent when another object enters a trigger collider. So when another object enters it, it should collide. So when I mark this as a trigger, and this one's not as a trigger, maybe it's my polygon. So I'm trying to make it so that my asteroid happens. It's working for... Yeah, so this one's a trigger. When another body enters it, it should cause that section of code to execute, but it's not. Or I'm just... Because I don't want this one to execute. I want this one to execute. Trigger enter 2D. Let me comment that chunk out. All right, so it wasn't spelled wrong. But all right, let's add in a apply to prefab. Let's go work on the prefab. It might just be that I'm editing. Let's reset. Okay, in our prefab, we're going to add in a box collider 2D because it was working with that, and a rigid body 2D, and it is kinematic. I'm just fascinated here. They both have is trigger true. I am totally lost here. why it's only working in the one direction. I'm totally confused. That's okay, we can make it work this way. I was gonna do it the other direction. I'm gonna do it on the other direction. So I feel like the thing getting hit should know it's getting hit by a laser and have code to deal with it. The other way around is much more difficult. Or not more difficult, just doesn't make as much sense to me. And all right, let's do let's make our laser not move so that we can like manually move it around. So yeah, they both, oh, did I do? Yeah, so we need a rigid body for it to check for collisions. Let's disable our asteroid spawner. Yeah, so the rigid body tells it to actually check for collisions. All right, what if I move? That's so weird to me. So if that one's not a trigger, this one's not a trigger. All right, so the thing... It's sort of, if... All right, my laser... So I thought maybe it was going like, oh, I'm only gonna call one. All right, now everything's gonna need to restart here. Wow, this is slightly baffling to me. On trigger, exit 2D and private on trigger, stay 2D. On trigger, exit 2D. On trigger, stay 2D. So can I get any of these to occur? Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. These are my asteroid. This is my asteroid spawner. Well, it would help if I'm putting it in the right script. Oh my god, I just wasted something like 30 minutes being baffled. All right. Ugh. All right, let us go back here to our prefab, and we want a collider polygon collider like that. Whew. I think that's how we all feel. I think that's how we all feel. And now let me figure out, do I need rigid bodies and whatnot? So now my laser, there we go. I don't need the stay, I don't need the exit. I just want the enter. I also feel like you got to get much better at Unity development, you know, because it feels so slow compared to other development because of this. Like I hit play, it's like, oh, I got to test something. So you really want to, all right, so now my asteroid can be like, I'm getting hit. Okay. All right, so on trigger enter 2D, we're gonna say, and it's funny because like I've had development cycles that were like the biggest development cycle I had, and it's not even that big compared to some, was like 45 minutes from compile to like being able to actually check something out. But that was like a big thing, and you could test individual pieces without that. Well, and then the company I worked for last time, the full deployment from end-to-end deployment, I think took like 6 hours to run or something. But like I said, you can test individual chunks all the way out, so you have a lot of confidence that the deploy is going to go through. All right, so we're going to have a method private void. We had that company, we had several microservices, and so like this is talking like a full deployment took about 6 hours if you ran all the tests to do it. So it would go through all the end-to-end tests, integration tests, end-to-end tests for a full deployment. But each individual thing was a little bit faster, but it's like the whole thing together as a collective. Private void on laser kit. All right, laser controller laser. So we're gonna say if as laser is not equal to null, we do an on laser hit with that laser as laser, like that. And so when we get hit by a laser, we have a little action that we're going to perform here, which is essentially we're going to like downgrade to a small asteroid and then destroy the laser. So the laser, we're going to downgrade to 2 smaller asteroids, or maybe 1. We'll start with 1. But the laser, so we'll do game object dot destroy laser. So we're gonna destroy the, oh, can I just do destroy? Destroy the laser, and then we could also do destroy this. Gonna do this. So we could do it like this. All right, so now if our laser hits something, it's gonna destroy it, but we're actually gonna spawn, make it go to a small asteroid when you hit it. But let's test this out for now. That was interesting. It's not this, it should be this dot game object laser dot game object. It destroyed the script. If I did laser, it destroyed the laser controller, not the game object. All right. So Unity, it's important to its composition. Game objects, it has a, so it's not that game object has a laser controller. It's not that a game object is a laser controller. So that's one thing to, boom, sweet. All right, so we have a laser, it can shoot things. Let's change its speed back to 5 by default. And in my laser controller, do I set it to 5 by default equals new vector 2, 0.05 is the default. Okay. All right, so now we need to be able to spawn in. Oh, my big asteroid, when it gets destroyed, is going to turn into a small asteroid. Boom. All right, so big asteroid. On laser hit, it's going to spawn a small asteroid. And so the asteroid controller is going to have this idea of a like an object that it turns into when it gets hit. So we need a reference to a small asteroid. So we'll have a public game object on destroyed. Or maybe I'll just call it baby asteroid. It's going to inherit the properties of this one when it's destroyed. So we'll go to our big asteroid here, and we're going to put a baby asteroid in it here. So we have a prefab asteroid baby. I'm curious if I can find a prefab by its name rather than doing this, but I like this because now we could have like baby asteroid can turn into another thing, because now asteroid baby also has something like this, so you could have another thing. You could do that, yeah. So instead, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have it, so I have two asteroids. I have this one, and then when you hit it, it's gonna turn into this one. So hitting it will shrink it to the smaller one, and then when you hit this one, it turns into nothing. So what we'll say is we destroy, before we destroy it, we're gonna spawn in the other one. So we're gonna say if, so we're gonna destroy the laser. Then we're gonna say if the so I'm gonna change this from baby asteroid to something else on destroyed. Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of a good name for this, but on destroyed template. So the cool thing here is you can replace it down with this other thing, and then it will spawn those, and you could add the one that gets at the very bottom could be like a particle effect of it exploding. So that's probably what we'll end up doing in the end. Yeah, so it's going to destroy this, and we're going to say if on destroyed template is not equal to null, we're gonna spawn it in. So then we're gonna do instantiate on destroyed template. Exactly. Well, and we're, rather than using an enum, we're gonna use like prefab. We're gonna say this is the object you're gonna spawn new obj, and this is gonna get the properties of the previous one as far as rotation, speed, and whatnot. So it's a little bit. So these things have the same. So check it out. We're gonna say that an asteroid. Let me change this here. This should be another asteroid controller like this. So this is like the recursion you go down with, and ideally it becomes like an enemy, like an object out there. So the idea is your big asteroid is going to spawn your baby asteroid, and your baby asteroid doesn't spawn anything, but you could make another one, like we could duplicate it, and the baby asteroid would spawn it. Does that make sense? Oh, you're saying why not just have the same object get reduced? So the basic thing here is I want to use this to teach. I think I understand what you're saying is like, well, why have it spawn in a new thing? And the idea here would be that, yeah, you're right. You're right. You could do it that way. You could do it that way. There's nothing inherently different. Maybe more performant to do it the way you're suggesting. So yeah, nothing wrong with that. And this is going to instantiate a Asteroid controller. And then it's going to steal all the properties of the other one. So rotation speed equals rotation speed. obj.speed equals speed. And then we destroy that other game object. And in fact, you might disable it first and then store it, but this is all going to happen in one frame. And then our baby asteroid, we need to add in a collision, polygon collision on that as well. It's exactly what you were saying, except it's done using like Unity framework, right? So the idea is, oh, well, I can visualize with my editor. So one of the things I'm doing with this project is teaching students the Unity interface a little bit, which tends to lead to some maybe poor practices that are hard to scale up. But the idea here is that your Asteroid controller says, oh, when I'm destroyed, here's the thing that replaces me. And so then I might actually write a script called like destructible, and then the destructible has like an amount of life points, and then when that life points get down to 0, it does the new thing. And the new thing doesn't necessarily have to be another asteroid. If I do it that way, it could be like a particle effect. Yeah. So it's exactly what you're saying. There's recursion here. Inherently, it's just not the code isn't recursive. The objects are recursive with each other. This should have a polygon collider, and is that polygon collider's not great. Can I edit it? I can. Can I delete point? Yeah, you're exactly right that the version you're describing is actually way, quite a bit more efficient. I have to step away here just for a second. I will be right back. I apologize. Not actually getting coffee, but put that up just in case anyone asks. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I am back. How do I delete points? Here it is. Can delete the number of points. Go down to 6. Build out a better. Usually it does a good job of it, not always. I guess I only needed 5. Good enough. There we go. Have a polygon collider there. And then we'll add in a rigid body 2D. Make it kinematic. Like that. Let's check it out here. Spawn second laser, just so that we can, we'll have the second one be a little slower so we can see it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that didn't work. Our asteroid type mismatch. What does this say? Absolutely. But if my goal is to have them learn about Unity, we're going to do it sort of a Unity-esque way. All right. Oh, got to make the position match too. New obj.position.gameObject.transform.position equals this dot transform. This dot transform dot position. I'm not sure what you're referring to as far as the roadmap. But yeah, absolutely you're not going to. I always tell students, the best thing you can do is to the best way to get your boom. All right. The best way to get your software development skills, you're gonna 10x your abilities if you get an internship or go work on a real project. So like that should be one of your major goals. How can I get an internship? How can I enter an internship? You learn so much. Ghosts, ghost maps. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong. How do I use VS Code? It's tricky. It's tricky. Are you on Windows or Mac? First, let me ask you on Windows and Macs. It's a little bit different on both ghost maps. And let me know if I'm pronouncing ghost maps wrong. But welcome aboard. Thanks for the follow. Ghost, perfect. You're perfect. It takes a little bit. So are you on Windows or Mac? Because there's a little bit of a difference between the two. Mac, it's a little bit harder than Windows. And I kind of honestly feel like, okay, if you're on Windows, I actually am gonna really, you don't have to use VS Code. I'm gonna recommend Visual Studio, but if you really don't want to use Visual Studio, the what you kind of have to do is you go to your project settings. Out of the box, Visual Studio is gonna work much better. I have students on Mac, Windows, and Linux, so they're all on different ones. So I have forced myself to learn VS Code so I can support one editor rather than it's different on Visual Studio on Mac is different than Visual Studio on Windows, and there isn't even a Visual Studio on Linux. And I don't want students to have to pay for Writer, but let's go here. Editor. So if you go to editor, no, this isn't right. Where is it? There's a setting you have to do. I thought it was in project settings. VS Code editor. There's a preferences. Yeah, you're probably right. File, edit, preferences. Here we go. External tools. So this is really important. External tools, set to Visual Studio Code, and you need to click this Generate Project Files button. All right, so if you don't do this, your autocomplete's not going to work. So the first time you have to do this, Generate Project Files. Yeah, so have you done that? That's the first thing. Have you done that? And if you haven't, then you're definitely not going to get autocomplete. Second is you need to have certain plugins installed. So I have this Unity snippets, and then also need C#, the C# installed as well for it to work. And I think that's the two big ones. And then if it's still giving you errors, you got to go check in your output here what the heck is going on specifically with C#. And it will often yell at you, C# or Roslyn, OmniSharp. Your error is going to be in this OmniSharp log if it's not there. And so it'll tell you like, oh, I'm trying to use this version of C#, it's not installed. So this is where you're going to find some information that's going to help you get it working with VS Code. But my response is probably should just use Visual Studio if you don't need to support other people. Christoph, have a beautiful night. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you next time. Ghost, I hope that helps. All right, so now we want to get our players to be able to spawn a laser. Oh, Dota, thank you for reminding me. Roadmap. Oh, this is nice. This is really cool. Because you sort of check off. What happens if I click on this? Oh, this is great. This is awesome. I'm gonna bookmark this. We're gonna come back. We're gonna check that out. I got too many things going on. This is great. Because it's not linear. It really isn't linear. And I talk about soft skills. There's all of these soft skills surrounding software engineering that you just kind of have to use. Yeah, there's just so much stuff surrounding it. All right, we need to get our player to be able to spawn a laser, right? So our player controller, we're gonna add in a weapon to it, and it's gonna be able to spawn it. So our laser here is gonna become a prefab, like that. And we're gonna remove it from the game. I'm gonna turn my Asteroid spawner back on, and I need to add into my player here a thing to spawn a laser. And for ease, I'm gonna create a weapon spawn point, and we're gonna say that I want my laser to spawn right in front of my ship. So my X position is 0. My Y position is 0.5. So our laser is going to spawn right in front of the ship. And so this will make it easy for me to add into my player of like where I want that to spawn. And then when I get more weapons, I can add in like left, I'm going to have an upgrade where I can it spawns from the left and right side too. But this is going to be like the front weapon. Like that. And then in my player controller, we're going to add in a transform public, transform laser, spawn front. What did I call it? Front, spawn, front, laser, spawn, like that. I'm going to give myself a little helper, public vector to front laser spawn vector position. I don't know if I actually need that. That's just overkill. All right, so handle movement. I need it having like a handle fire. All right, private void handle fire. Handle fire. So we're gonna move. Then we'll check for shooting. So input.get key down. So this is at the moment the key is pressed. Our key code happens to be fire, I believe. Return the true during the frame the user starts pressing the down. So you can't just hold it. I can make it so if you hold it, it'll keep shooting lasers. We're gonna say if we are pressing fire, we're gonna spawn a laser, and the laser is gonna spawn at this position. And we're gonna have another thing here that's public game object weapon or laser, maybe like that. So here our front laser spawns just in front, and the laser, our prefab, is what we're gonna spawn. So we have those two things set. So handle fire. And then if we've pressed the button, the laser gets spawned at that position. So instantiate laser. Laser. Laser dot transform dot position is equal to our front laser spawn dot position. And that should be it. We should be able to fire now. Maybe. Fire is unknown. I think it's called Fire 1. Let's go to our project settings, our input manager. Oh, it's an axis. Interesting. I think that, okay. Interesting. Should probably learn about the new system input package. So it's an axis. .get button. I bet this is what it is. The name of the button, such as jump. Get button down. Let's try this. See how this goes. It's always interesting relearning Unity. Not that I've ever known Unity super well. There we go. So we can fire lasers. Lasers will make those shrink. All right, so we got a little thing here. You'll notice that I have lasers flying off into the void forever. So what we want to do is we want to if they get too far away, they need to sort of be destroyed. Essentially, if they're far off the screen, they're gone. So I'm going to add in a script called called something. I can't think of the best name for it, but I'm gonna add a script to these guys that basically tells us if something is destroyed off the screen. So yeah, we want to add a script to these called new script. What would be a good name for a script that ensures objects stay, you know, something controller, cleanup controller. I hate that name, it's terrible. But we're gonna call it cleanup controller. And all it does, it's gonna be attached to several things, and it's just gonna say, okay, if this thing is too far off the screen, it's gonna get cleaned up. So we're gonna add it to on-screen controllers, not bad. Maybe on-screen controller. Yeah, I like it. I like it. We're gonna rename it. All right. On-screen controller. Almost want it to be like a game object controller, but that feels terrible too. I like on-screen controller. On-screen controller. Yeah, I need Keith. Keith is usually my name master. Keith always has a good name suggestion for me. I struggle with names big time. Making anything reasonable. All right, so but we just got to add this to our on-screen controller. On-screen controller, and it's almost so really, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We're not going to worry too much about it. Our on-screen controller basically is going to check if our thing is on the screen. So basically, if it's outside of some bound, on screen controller. What are you complaining about? Oh, I have 2 files here. That's interesting. Okay. I just want to say, if you're sufficiently far off the screen to go destroy yourself, maybe yeah. So probably shouldn't hard code this in here, but I'm going to do it because we're going to say that if game object dot we'll get our transform first. Vector to position equals game object dot transform dot position. If position dot y is less than -5 or position dot y is greater than, let's take a look real quick. What would be reasonable? All right, we'll do -7, 7, -7 and 7, -7, 7. Then you just destroy yourself. Destroy this dot game object. Can I just do this? Transform, we just have access to it. Yeah. All right. So if you're out of the bounds, we implode ourselves. All right, let's try it. Oh. So we should see these sort of clean themselves up as they float off into the aether. And clearly we can fire too frequently, I think. So we need like a delay. All right, and these should clean themselves up. Yeah, sweet, sweet. All right. All right, not bad. Not bad. Pretty happy with that so far. I'm gonna go. Let's see what I want to do. I'm gonna go for another 30-ish minutes. Just a heads up for how much longer I'm gonna be working on this today. So with that in mind, I want to think about what I want to try to accomplish in that time frame. I'm going to add a delay. So do I want to delay on my 11, or should we be able to fire as fast as possible? Yeah. So collision on the plane is probably what I'm going to do next, right? So if we get hit, we need to know how to deal with it. We need sort of, so it'll damage the plane, and then like remove it from the screen and then respawn it, and you get what's called like a damage boost, right? So the idea is when you get destroyed, or you have certain hit points and your hit points go down, one of those two things. So displaying game over is going to be good too. So maybe we add that in it. That one isn't too bad either. Let me get the collision on my ship first, right? So we'll add in a collision to the ship just to say, okay, I have a thing that my player can get hit. So my ship here, gonna add in a rigid body to it. Like that. And then we're gonna add in a collider 2D. Correct. That's a good idea. I absolutely think that's a really good, necessary. Let's see if we need. Get our collider here. Like, not that one. That's interesting. What's going on? Oh, we have. How do I remove? Is there like a? Wish there, and there probably is, and I just don't know. I would love to delete a node. Shift, hold Alt, handle to pin center, and it's okay. We'll do that. Fewer points is better. You'll have like better speed on detection. That's okay. So we are going to add in here the ship having collision now. So in our player controller, what's interesting here is that I don't even need this clamp. I just realized. On trigger, enter 2D. Debug.log. We want to Asteroid controller. So we need a concept of something that can hurt a player, but we'll start with Asteroid control, and then we need to sort of update that to be anything, because an enemy laser needs to be able to hit. So you're gonna have ships that come in and shoot lasers at the player too. But Asteroid controller as Asteroid, other dot get component, Asteroid controller equals if as Asteroid not equal to null, then we blow up, right? So the idea of blowing up is to move the ship off the screen potentially, or let's think about this. My thought here is, when you get destroyed, you move the ship off the screen, but maybe we actually destroy the ship, and then you have this concept of a game controller that knows how to respawn the player. So maybe that's what we do. So for now, actually, I think I'm gonna do destroy this game object. So we destroy this thing, but we need to notify sort of this game controller object. So we're gonna add in a like player game state type thing, which is gonna track stuff. But we should be able to have the player get destroyed by an asteroid now. Destroyed is a strong word. Really dislike, so nope. Gonna make it is trigger here, I'm pretty sure. There we go. Okay. So player need to have that be a trigger. I don't know, I need to rerun it, but my brain tells me I need to. I really don't like this bound this low. All right, so we can get destroyed. That should be able to talk to like a game controller. So a game controller, game controller. This thing is going to know how to spawn the player back into existence and keep track of if the player's dead, when they should respawn, what the player's respawn rate is, and how many lives the player has. So this is like our overall game controller. And maybe our player, this thing should be renamed to a ship controller, probably. I'm not sure. But we're gonna create a new script here. Game controller. And before we open it here, we wanna, in our Unity editor, we wanna move that to our scripts folder. Game controller. And this guy, it's going to have a public player controller player. That's what I'm saying. Maybe ship controller. So this is going to like player template. The thing it's going to spawn when the player dies. A public transform player spawn point public float spawn delay. So this is how long it's going to take before the player spawns. We'll say 3 seconds for the player to spawn in to the game once it's destroyed. And then we'll say public float spawn at, and set this to -1, I think. Trying to think how I want to do this. The idea is when player is going to have a reference to the game control, and when the player dies, it's going to send a message here to our game controller, private, or so this will be a public void spawn, or like start, like mark player destroyed, and or even just like destroy player, something like that, so that this will go through the process, do everything necessary to destroy the player. And so then in our player controller, this is gonna have a game controller attached to it, and when it gets destroyed, it will call game controller.destroy player, and it's gonna take in this, I think. All right, so destroy player is gonna take in the player controller to destroy. Yeah, so it's going to take in the player controller to destroy. And then it will actually destroy it. So this will do destroy to destroy.game object. So destroy it and then start the next spawn at. So spawn at will be equal to time.time plus spawn delay. It's going to tell it what to do next. And we'll just have a thing here that says if time if let's think here, should spawn if spawn at greater than 0 and time the current time is greater than spawn at, then we'll spawn player. All right, and this will be a private void spawn player, private void spawn player, and we'll spawn the player in at the spawn point. Is that right? Player template, player spawn point. So we'll do instantiate player template. So we have a player controller, PC.transform.position is equal to player spawn point.position. So it'll put it in there after the amount of time necessary. And then I need to add in like a damage boost to our player controller. Or the player controller object. All right, let's the idea too is now my player becomes a prefab. Like that, and my game controller has a player template and then a player spawn and that should be down here. And then when the game starts up, after we spawn a player, spawn at gets set to -1 so that we don't keep spawning players. So when we start, we will spawn a player. That's the very first thing we do when we start up. Either that or we set like a spawn time. But let's see how we do. Let's see what if we got a spawner working. Spawn delay 3. So player should spawn in. There we go. If I die, when my player spawns in, I need to do pc.gameController equals this. And what is my... So Unity is a little weird in that you don't use constructors. So it's, what is my unassigned reference? My player spawn point. Like that. All right, almost. If I die, boom. And then I get respawned. Cool. All right. So we have a respawn. I would like to add in a damage boost now so that if I spawn in and there is stuff there, I don't die right away. So And then if I have damage boost, I sort of should flicker on and off is the idea, or have maybe some sort of thing where I fade in, some like transparent and fade in might be cool. But pretty happy with what's going on here so far. Simple. All of my code is simple. The most confusing code right now is this meteor thing, I think. Everything else feels pretty straightforward and logical. Let's get our player to have damage boost. Public float damage boost. And we'll start out at 3. And so the idea is damage boost basically gets subtracted each time. So handle damage boost. Private void handle damage boost. Basically damage boost, we're gonna subtract our time dot delta time. So it just reduces over time. So you get 3 seconds of damage boost, and then if it's over, it runs out. So you don't actually destroy the player if the damage boost is high enough. So the thing would be here, and if it's an asteroid, and damage boost is greater than 0, and we can probably clamp this actually. Damage boost equals damage boost, or math dot max 0 and damage boost. Math F. Why does it always complain about that? Unknown word, math doesn't like that. And then we also, if we have damage boost, we sort of need to flicker. But I'm not going to worry about that for now. We're just going to say that we have a damage boost indicator. Maybe I could do it. I know I can do it. It's just I'm trying to think of the nice way to do it. So we die. Well, my player, my damage boost is 0. Something's wrong here. And less than or equal to 0. And if I'm greater than 0, I have the boost. So the cool thing here is if I have that, I can have a thing that says I can like have a power up where I collect invulnerability, and it just increases my damage boost. So it should be able to get destroyed. And when I come back in, I don't get destroyed right away. 3 seconds is a long time. All right, cool. But yeah, the default damage boost feels pretty high. I'm gonna switch it down to 2. Player controller damage boost 2. But these are things that you could like potentially get upgrades for over time. Sweet. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop there. I'm really happy with the progress that was made today. Go ahead and make a commit here. Ooh, did a lot. Get status. Did a lot. Okay. Probably should be committing more incrementally. So this is just bad practice, but we're prototyping. WIP. Add, continue work on Space Raiders prototype. Okay. And there we go. So it's now on the repository. So if anyone wants to check it out, I'll put a link in the description of this video. But I'll be back working on this again tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow I should be back. But anyway, thanks for hanging out. Dota, it was wonderful chatting with you. Ghost, if you're still around, thanks for hanging out. I see there are some lurkers, so thanks everyone for hanging out and checking it out. I hope everyone got some out of it. And of course, keep coding, keep growing, keep on learning, keep on trying to be better, and of course, you're welcome back anytime.